In this episode, I point at 3 happy workers, I talk about something small, I play with rocks and water, and I enjoy some cheese. Welcome back. This episode I'm going to continue my work in the kitchen. I'm going to be creating concrete countertops, and I'm also going to be designing my own countertop frame. I did a lot of research on some of these projects, and to be honest, no matter how much research you do, it doesn't matter how prepared you're going to be because it's never going to be the same fit for every project. The funny story is that here in Japan, you have access to none of the materials that you have access to in America. Most of the information that I was coming across was information from America. Therefore, you had access to certain materials that just don't exist in Japan. Don't forget to hit like to support my channel and hit subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thanks a lot.
Join me on my adventure to renovate an old house in Japan.
I'll start by constructing the base of the countertops with these thick wood pillars. The countertops are going to be an L-shaped form. I really wanted to understand the layout I wanted in person. It will be an open kitchen layout. The counters will have a view into the living room. The last area I will create is the space on the right. This is the space where the stove will go, as well as the ventilation fan. I will create this section later if all goes well with the first section. I am using a lot of heavy-duty hardware and bolts. The sink will sit flush with the bottom of the concrete countertops. Oh no, wait. It says I need 2 people. Huh? One person can't do this job? It's not do it yourself? Oh, 3 people are needed. Do it yourselves. IKEA, eat me. I'm creating a larger space behind the sink. I hate it when sinks have an area behind them so small that not even a dish soap bottle can stand up behind it. Sometimes you have a countertop and then it's got like maybe just a little crack like this behind the sink, and then when you try to put your bottles, they're kind of like, you know, sitting on the sink but not really flat, and then they're always falling into it. So I did that little lip on purpose to give it a little bit of extra space back there, so looks good. The initial part of the frame is done. It should now be able to hold the cement counters. There's much more to the counters than I'm going to do today, but the initial part is finished. I'm going to make a strange puzzle-like countertop design. I will be creating these 2 pieces of the puzzle to start out with. If all goes well, I will continue making the other portions of the counters. I also want to mix a little wood into the design of the countertops. The main reason for this is that pouring larger slabs of cement will make the counters too heavy for one person to move around. I need to be able to lift them up myself. I started with creating the box molds to pour the cement into. Today I will create just 2 pieces of the puzzle and see if my skills are good enough to continue with this crazy idea. I measured the height of the boxes so that the cement would be exactly 40 millimeters tall. That means I have to pour the cement right up to the top of the boxes. I put a large amount of screws to hold it all together. It will have to hold a considerable amount of weight. Next, I seal the corners with 100% silicone. I'll add wire mesh reinforcement to the center of the counters to keep them from cracking under pressure. Everything is prepped and ready to go. I'll use 3 main ingredients to make the counters. First, pre-mixed cement. which consists of Portland cement and sand. This product here is called mortar adhesive in Japan, but it's known in America as a copolymer or water reducer. It helps the cement bond better and reduces cracking from the drying process. The benefits are kind of hard to explain really, but it makes the final product smoother and nicer. I will mix in fiberglass pieces as well to give it more strength. I'll make 2 batches, one batch with fiber and one batch without the fiber. Rubber mallet for tapping out bubbles. I'm trying 2 different methods. The first will be a drier mix with less water. You can see the consistency is very dry. It's almost too dry. The smaller countertop will be a wetter mix. Alright, there's a huge discrepancy here. Originally, the molds had to be reversed, and the top of the counters was supposed to be on the bottom of the mold. But then I decided to make the top of the counters the top of the mold. But then later, after making the molds, I decided to use the bottom of the molds as the tops of the counters. Huh? Does that make sense? Anyways, the fiber mix was supposed to go on last, so essentially I messed up and did it backwards. Anyways, the steel crossbeams went in halfway between the pores. I used a mallet to tap out as many bubbles as I could get out. And then the waiting process began. Once dry, I pulled them out of the molds. So what was the main problem here? So far the countertops are being created and everything is going smoothly. Well, to be honest, I kind of misinformed you at the beginning. Some of the problems that I was encountering are probably common problems that you encounter when you're doing this type of install. But my problem maybe was a little self-inflicted. Obviously, the first mistake was putting in the fiber mix first. I was taking out the counters from the molds and everything looked pretty good. But this didn't create a large problem like I thought it would. If you're going to make countertops out of wood, well, of course you're going to stain and put some sort of sealer or finish over that wood. Well, concrete is much the same. You wouldn't want to just use virgin concrete. You would want to put some sort of sealer on top so that the countertops are sealed and they don't get stained. Again, these were many challenges that I came across. Because the fiber went on first instead of last, it ended up creating small open holes. Apart from pinholes that the concrete usually has, as well as some issues where there were some kind of craters or holes, the concrete looked like it was pretty much in good shape and it was ready to have a epoxy coating on top of it. The dry mix didn't allow the cement to fully flatten and fill the mold evenly. The fiberglass didn't help. This is why the mix was a little too dry. I thought filling the holes with countertop epoxy would remedy the problem. Well, this is where the problem came in because the epoxy is kind of an interesting product. Once you start pouring the epoxy, you have a very limited time to spread the epoxy, let it level, and then take a torch to pull some of the bubbles out of it. The small slab of concrete, which was the wetter mix, turned out much better. It's raining pretty hard. So, what was the problem? I had all the materials ready and I had the torch ready and I was willing and ready, and I had been working for quite some time that day and I decided I need a snack. I need something to eat. I was very hungry and I kind of had skipped lunch, so I was already kind of a little feeble and weak, and I went into the refrigerator and lo and behold, I had nothing to eat in the fridge other than some cheese. Okay, cheese is okay. I checked the expiration date and it still has like a few days left on it. The problem is this cheese has been in there for about over a month and a half. So immediately I kind of had the little devil and the little angel on my shoulders, and one of them is telling me,
Ooh, I don't know, man. That looks pretty dangerous. It's been in the refrigerator for 2 months. I don't care if it's expired or not. It's not a good idea. We're putting epoxy on the countertops, and that takes all of our attention and time. I think we need our guts intact.
But then the other one is telling me,
Nah, brah, that cheese is gonna rock. Go ahead, man. Eat that junk.
Well, it hasn't expired, and it has like a week left on it. You shouldn't do it.
Don't listen to that guy. Look at him. He's wearing safety gear.
so what do? Well, I do what every other hungry person would do. I ate the cheese.
Whoa, 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 brah. Slow down, champ. Don't eat all of it.
I feel fine. I'm getting back to work.
To fill the holes the fiber created, I decided to use an epoxy coat over the counters. I didn't want to make a slurry to fill them, and I didn't want to do any sanding. Yes, I'm lazy. I thought it would be a good idea and it would add a nice finish to them if I used epoxy. Measuring buckets. Although the epoxy is VOC-free, I'll still use a gas mask, gloves, a torch for taking out the bubbles, and a small mixer attached to my drill. Mix, pour, spread, torch. Torch? The most crucial step of this process is taking out those bubbles to even out the epoxy and make it flat. Why? Why did I eat that cheese? That was the worst experience. I hate nothing more in this world than throwing up. And then the cheese hit me. I couldn't contain that feeling in my gut 1 second longer. Man, it was terrible. I was throwing up everywhere. At home, in the meat section of the supermarket, on the subway. Wait, there is no subway in this town. That was really truly my biggest failure. I wasn't able to really focus on pulling the bubbles out of my epoxy countertop sealer, and then it created a lot of crevasses or little pinholes where the epoxy didn't quite sink into and then level out. When that bubble is in there, it kind of sits there and it stops the epoxy from filling that hole. Well, eventually when the epoxy starts to dry, that bubble might come up and then pop. But because the epoxy is already pretty much almost dry, then it creates a little crater because it never actually filled that hole in. And therefore, here's the finished product. So, what are some of the things that I'm going to do to fix it? Well, according to the website of the manufacturer, I would have to go in and sand these countertops down, light buffing so that it can create a rough surface. And then I'm going to have to re-pour more epoxy on top of the coating that I have already. The small slab continued to come out pretty good. Repairing these counters will go on hold. I have to reassess my process, and the epoxy needs 20 Celsius to cure correctly. I will have to wait until spring to try to repair these countertops. Next episode, I'm going to be filling in the hole that was left by my cabinets. I'm going to create a custom area there, and I'm really excited because this is going to be kind of a little creative endeavor. I am not going to put cabinets anymore in that area because I think it's just too high. Thanks for watching. I hope I inspired you, and I hope that if you are doing a countertop system in your house in Japan or elsewhere as well, don't eat any cheese before you do it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to support my channel. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time.